Welcome to the Chairman's Perspective podcast.
Welcome to the Chairman's Perspective. I'm Mark Billingsley, Chairman of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. Today, I am truly honored to have a dear friend, Patrice J. Robinson, Memphis City Council Chairwoman, with us today. So we have both the chairs together today, Chairwoman.
Yes, and thank you for having me.
We're going to talk a lot about Memphis and Shelby County. We're going to talk about maybe ways we can work together, and we're going to be right back on the Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Jazz, America's own original musical art form. When did it start? Who were and are some of the major players? How do you distinguish what kind of jazz you're listening to? We talk about the great and lesser-known artists, songs and tunes, the instruments, and the social impact jazz has had on world culture since its beginning at the start of the 20th century.
Riffin' on jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network. KUDZUKIAN!
And we are back on the Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Today we actually have a meeting of the chairs.
Oh, yes, and I'm excited to be here to hear your perspective as well as the citizens can hear mine.
Yes. Well, it's going to be a great day today. I'm so honored to have Patrice J. Robinson, Memphis City Council Chairwoman, here with Commissioner Mark Billingsley as I serve as the chairman of the Shelby County Commission. Honestly, Patrice, you've been such a great friend. You've been a tremendous public servant. Coming to the Memphis City Council and public service wasn't new to you. A lot of people may remember, if you don't know Patrice Robinson, she's also a former Memphis City Shelby County School Board of Education Commissioner.
That's correct.
You have a robust employment history. You retired as Supervisor Assessment and Development at Memphis Light, Gas, and Water.
Awesome. I thought I was retired, but you all trying to make this political career full time.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. I learned that. But 30 years in human resources development.
Yes.
You've done so much for our community. What's it like this year being the chairwoman of the Memphis City Council?
As the chairwoman, now I'm responsible for 12 other city council members, and it just added a new role of responsibility. I am so excited to be able to serve in this capacity so that we can lead the way in providing equity within our city. I am really excited about the fact that we have 6 new members, 5 of which are young people, to add some new ideas and fresh ideas. And then we've got some of us who've been around there a little longer, and hopefully we can work well together. Now, I have to share this with you. Whenever you're working with a new group, because I've been in training most of my life, you have some group dynamics, team dynamics. And the first year, we're going to spend a lot of time having conversations with one another, and it's probably not going to be with a whole lot of agreement. But over time, we'll get to the place where we're performing and working well together. But I don't want the citizens to think the time we run out the gate and start working together that we're going to all be on the same page. But we're going to get there.
You know, you and I have served in different elected positions. You know, you were on the school board. I started out as an alderman in Germantown. You later became now the city council chairwoman.
Yes.
You've served on the city council. I'm started on the commission. Now I'm chairman. I think the one lesson I would share with new commissioners and new city councilmen, it's so important that first year to listen. I really spent the first year as a county commissioner, even though I'd been an elected official before, listening. What is your perception of that from your experiences on how important it is to listen in that first year?
So it's important to listen the first year, but it's important your first whole term to try to learn as much as you can.
It's a lot, isn't it?
It is a lot. And 4 years is really not enough.
No.
It's a lot of information. When I was on the school board, we were required to have 7 hours of training every year. On the city council, it's different. You don't have to have any if you don't want any.
Right.
But it's important to understand how the city operates, how the organization operates, what citizens really want. And it takes some time. And there are a lot of moving parts. I mean, many.
Because I'd been an elected official before, I just assumed, I got this as a county commissioner. But going from city of Germantown and 40,000 people to a district of 70,000 people, and then really as a city councilwoman, I know you have a respective district that you're in charge of, but I have the mindset, like I think you do, that you think about all of Memphis when you're making decisions.
Yes, and that is very true. I try to make sure that I include everyone that's in the city of Memphis, but because we're also responsible for Memphis Light, Gas, and Water, I step over in your territory because I have to be responsible for everyone in Shelby County, and I'm always trying to look at the perspective where we can get the greater good for all citizens.
We've got some huge challenges going on in Memphis and Shelby County. We'll also talk about the opportunities, but in terms of challenges, what do you see, Chairwoman Robinson, in terms of the top 2 or 3 challenges for the upcoming year?
My top challenge, I don't know about yours,
sure,
is we don't have enough revenue.
Well,
we've got to figure out how we're going to generate revenue and not make citizens angry about paying more taxes. But we cannot continue thinking that as we go down the road where citizens are getting salary increases, where we have cost of living going up every year, but you assume that the city and county can continue to operate on the same dollars. That is unrealistic. But we've got to be able to paint a picture that all citizens can embrace. And we've got to figure out how we're going to get some additional revenue other than just taxes. I
agree. You're listening to the Chairman's Perspective. We're with Memphis City Council Chairwoman Patrice Robinson. We've got our challenges, and certainly revenue. I'm seeing the same type of trend on the city council. On the county commission side. Mm-hmm. Revenue is a challenge. I think we probably agree on public safety. No matter if I'm in Germantown, if I'm in Hickory Hill, if I'm in Fraser Raleigh, the continued conversation around public safety. What are your thoughts regarding public safety?
So this is what I want to share, not just with you, but with the audience, is that we can't hire enough sheriff, enough police officers to sit in every home. We've got to start working on individual citizens where they can embrace working peacefully together in our community. And we haven't spent enough time, and this is not an indictment on anyone, but we've got to spend a little more time figuring out what we're going to do with people who have mental health issues,
Absolutely.
Those who are undiagnosed. And I believe that that's where we're having a lot of problems with people that have, they're actually medical conditions and they have gotten out of control. And then we have other people who are having problems with family affairs, things that are going on in their families and they don't know exactly how to handle it. But I believe it goes back to the same issue, mental health. And we've got to spend a little more time there. Our children need to understand how to operate in a realm or sphere of peace. And the reason I say that is the police department made a presentation to the Memphis City Council, and they brought in some masks to show us that these are the youth that we work with in a program they call PAL. And we allow them to color these masks using the colors that the children selected that represent things like joy, words that mean something to them. And these are expressions of how we feel. And as soon as I looked at the list, the first thing that I saw that was not there was the word PEACE.
Wow.
So that means that our children don't even relate to peace as being an emotion or something that they should aspire to even talk about. So you didn't come up on the mask because that color was not identified by our children. So that tells us about what's going on in our community in the minds of our children. So we've got to spend a little more time with them. And I know we want them to be able to read, we want them to be able to do math, but they've got to know how to operate within peace and love in our community.
You're listening to the Chairman's Perspective. I'm so honored to have my friend Patrice Robinson here, Memphis City Council Chairwoman, and we'll be right back.
The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Hey, I'm Williams Brack, co-host of Grind Set. The insight you gain from us and our guests will motivate you to take the leap into entrepreneurship. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast provider.
Grind Set on the KUDZUKIAN Network. KUDZUKIAN!
Well, we're back on the Chairman's Perspective. We're here today with my friend, Memphis City Council Chairwoman Patrice Robinson. Patrice, in the last segment, we were talking about mental health, and we have got tremendous challenges. On this show in the last couple of weeks, I've had Judge Dan Michael from Juvenile Court. We talked about mental health. I've had Sheriff Floyd Bonner on the show. We've talked about mental health. I agree with you. We've got to do a better job. We got to better identify on the front end. Mm-hmm. I think you bring a very unique perspective as chairwoman of the Memphis City Council, and that you've also had to make the tough votes on the Shelby County School Board. Tell me what your thoughts are about education. How do we move the needle in a city and a county that's riddled with poverty and challenges of poverty?
So when we talk about poverty, we're actually talking about the economic level of people. To change that, it's the same thing that we need in both city and county government: more money. Yeah, it's basically about money. And when we talk about mental health, you got to have the money to be able to get the mental health care that you need. So the bottom line is money. But in school, as we look at education, I believe that we're going in the right direction. The problem is, every time you get to a place where you feel like you're going to make the mark is raised again. The bar is changed. But all of our children need to know where they are currently. And I just want to share a little story.
Please.
While I was on the school board, I visited a school that won an educational award from the Broad Foundation. But they also had an opportunity to win a couple other awards around how they conducted the work in their school. I visited a classroom in Florida, right outside of Tampa, in Pinellas County, where I went to a first grade classroom. I had a young lady to share with me her perspective. She was a first grader now, and she was actually in a special needs program. But she wanted to tell me about what was going on in her classroom, and she was my personal hostess for the day. When we walked up to the classroom, there was a chart on the wall before you even walked in the classroom, and it had all the scores of the children and what they made and where their perspective was in their classroom. So they know, parents know when they walk in that the children are performing at this level in math, this level in reading. So we know where we need to go from there. And the teacher knows, the parents know, anybody walks up, but the child knows. But like this notebook that you have here today, she had a notebook. She took me to her desk. She told me her name, and she said, "I have what they call bar graphs, Miss Robinson."
Wow.
And I said, "What do you do with the bar graphs?" And she took me over to a computer. She said, "Every week we take a test in our reading, we take one in math, and then the computer will print out, or the printer," she took me over to the printer, "my score. When I come back to my desk and I look at my bar graph for that week, I color it in to where I am." She says, "So look at my page today. I am doing well in reading because I'm at the bar." But she said, "You see that I'm in my math, I need a little more help because I haven't reached the bar." That's the conversation that all of our children should be able to do and know where they're going. They go to class, they have teachers, we know where we want them to be, but our children are not able to articulate what it is that we're trying to accomplish here. They know that they're supposed to go to school. That's their job, to go to school every day. And it's for them to learn so they can make sure that they have good, sound foundation. But they need to know exactly where they are so that they can, when they come to school on a daily basis, have a goal for that week and reach that goal and be proud of themselves. And the teacher doesn't have to tell them anything. The parents, it's just within them.
It's a great example.
I think that's a great example about how we need to move forward with our children. They have no idea. You just asking us to do a bunch of work, come to school and sit here and be quiet and be still. And it's not meaningful. We've got to be able to present it in a more meaningful manner where it applies to their everyday life and they have goals and objectives on a weekly basis.
Wow. You listen to the Chairman's Perspective, and we're here with my friend Patrice Robinson. We're talking about Memphis and Shelby County. Patrice this year is the City Council Chairwoman. What a huge responsibility. And with 6 new City Council members, we've talked about mental health, we've talked about public safety, we've talked about education. As Chairwoman, what do you want to hope to accomplish over the next year? What are your hopes and aspirations as you lead this new group?
So my first aspiration is to find someone to help us to get all those charters and charter amendments in one place where anybody can click and find it. And when you get to it, it's not old, outdated, or and make sure that it matches or it represents the century in which we live.
Wow.
I believe that is the most important thing. I believe that we need to do that as a government all across the board to make sure that we're following newly enforced laws by the federal government, by the state government, by the county, by the city. But you can't, when I ask for information from our attorneys about where we are in the charter, then they'll come back and say, well, it was changed in this year and this year. Then they come back 3 weeks later, oh, but there was another change here. It just needs to be in one place where citizens will have that information and council people. I'd like to see our council people be more educated about what's going on in the community and how the city operates. But one step further, I want them to be able to represent their districts and their community from a not just of a learning position, but out there on the ground with the citizens, knowing exactly what it is that they want and being able to articulate where we are. Another thing, we allow the mayors, because they have to do the work, create the vision for the community. It actually should come from the county commission and from the city council. And we spend very little time. All we're doing is putting out fires like the firemen at a fire station. We've got to change that. We're the legislative body of our city. We, city and county, both of us sitting here, and we need to spend more time legislatively looking at our priorities and where we should be going. And then the mayors take that information and make it happen, make the dream a reality.
Boy, some great thoughts. We are with Patrice Robinson, my dear friend who's leading the Memphis City Council this year, is an outstanding leader in our community. We're going to be back in just a few minutes on the Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Funking up your airwaves and jamming the good information in your ear. Once again, it's Funky Politics.
Funky Politics.
Funky Politics.
And we're back on the Chairman's Perspective. We're with Patrice J. Robinson, Memphis City Council Chairwoman. Patrice, we've talked about mental health. We've talked about public safety. We've talked about some innovative things we need in education. There are a lot of issues that the Memphis City Council and the Shelby County Commission could be working on. Some of the things I know that bother me and bother you are very similar. You know, the way our community shows means something.
Yes.
When we look at blight, when we look at trash on the side of the road, tell me a couple of your hot buttons and I'll share a few of mine. Especially think about some things we could work together on.
So I want to talk about the cleanliness of our city and county. I was just driving along, going to an appointment, and I saw so many styrofoam cups, paper bags from fast food restaurants on the side of fences, roads, curbs, gutters. It didn't make any sense. And the citizens want the city to pick this up, but we wouldn't have to pick it up if they wouldn't throw it down. We've got to go back to and they don't even want you to talk about things of the past. But we got to talk about clean up, fix up, and pick up in Memphis and Shelby County. But there is one other thing that I think that we can work on that together. But one of the most important things, especially looking at revenue for our city, we need to take a fresh look and approach to our edge board. I want to I really want to encourage new businesses to move to Memphis. I want to encourage them to pay living wages. And I want them to do what they say they're going to do. because they're basically private corporations, they're not going to give us a lot of information. They're just going to tell us what they tell us. But we've got to figure out a way how we can verify information. Are your employees coming from Memphis and Shelby County? Or are they coming from North Mississippi or Arkansas? We need to know that. We need the information a little more disaggregated so that we can see what's really going on. And I know citizens may not like it, the Edge Board may not like it, but as pallets, as we give pallets away, I know they have to pay a little something, but everybody should be paying an education tax. I don't care where they come from, because they want educated people working at their companies. And the first thing that they say to us about people come to, your graduates can't read, but if you pay the educational tax, we can make sure that our graduates can read and they have the skills that they need. And that's a way of getting some additional revenue. But we just need to have a conversation. I'm not trying to be mean and vindictive. I know that's a way to draw people, but we got to put a line in the sand, and we've got to be able to verify whether we're doing those things or not. And we got to work together, corporations with the city and the county. And we're all going in the same direction. We represent the same people. They're paying taxes as well. But we want to make sure that there's some leverage there. And there's not, I don't want it to be equal. I want to make sure that there's equity.
You know, it seems like we're at a unique crossroads where we've got a lot of really good things happening in Memphis and Shelby County. But I agree with you. We've got to do a better job working together and have a united voice. I think West Tennessee, for the most part, gets forgotten a lot in Nashville, and there are issues that we need to bring to our state. I see more and more and more responsibilities falling at the local level on the shoulders of each one of us. While there is great funding for many projects in Nashville and in East Tennessee, I appreciate that, and I love seeing the 16 cranes when I go down 40 through Nashville, but at the same time, I don't feel like we're getting our fair share in public education dollars that we need to educate those students so they're ready for that workforce that you talk about.
Yes.
But I agree with you on many of those points, and just having a united voice. And again, we've got so many united voices now. We've got a great leader at the Memphis Chamber.
Yes.
With Beverly Robertson. We've got a new chairman of that board, Willie Gregory, who's going to do a great job. We've got AutoZone expanding in downtown Memphis. We've got FedEx expanding in downtown Memphis. We've got Union Row happening. We've got the Pinch District on fire. St. Jude's always doing more and more expansion. But with all of that, there seems to be at times a lack of support coming from the East. What are your thoughts about that?
So those are all great projects. And remember, when we first started the show today, I want to make sure that there's equity in all the districts. And what you just shared with us is a small problem, but we need to expand the wealth so that all communities can they can't get the same uplift. That's why I say not equal, but an equitable amount so that we can ensure that our communities grow together.
What area of town did you grow up in Memphis? I
grew up in South Memphis, and I represent Whitehaven. And I'm a graduate of Whitehaven High School, but that was really close to South Memphis. I mean, I was as close to, I could walk to Brooks Road from where I lived in South Memphis.
You're listening to the Chairman's Perspective, and we're with the Chairwoman of the Memphis City Council, Patrice Robinson. We've got so many things in common. We both are going to have revenue needs. We're about to start working on our budget on the Shelby County side. Again, revenue is a big problem.
Yes.
We also have not raised taxes, and I'm not suggesting that.
Please don't tell anybody that.
No, I'm not. And I'm also not going to talk about the wheel tax today, which is a hot button.
But, that's a bad word in Memphis.
Yeah, it's a bad word, and I'm not going to say it again, but we do have our revenue challenges, and so many of the things that you and I need to work on, and our commissioners and city councilmen are tied to dollars.
Yes.
Again, Chairwoman, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. Any more closing thoughts about where you're headed, where the body's headed? I'm excited about your 6 new members.
Oh, yes. The new members are really excited about working together and being of one mind and one body to support the whole city. They are so excited. They're getting out there doing their listening tours. I told them, I said, now we got to have a calendar because we got a lot more people wanting to have town hall meetings. I don't want to overburden the staff because I still need them to do their work.
I get it.
So we've got a little challenge the first part of the year, but I believe that we're going to end the year really well out there in the community, representing the interest of Memphians as well as Shelby Countyans.
You know, I think citizens want to see the Memphis City Council and the County Commission working together. We've had a great relationship the last couple of years, and I'm just telling you as chairman of the County Commission, I really want to work with you in the next year to build and strengthen Memphis, to build and strengthen Shelby County. And I think really, truly working together with your body and my body, we can move the needle this year and be very proud of our efforts.
And I appreciate you. And you've already helped me with a project in my district.
Oh, good.
And that was with the YMCA.
What a great project
Davis,
that was.
Yes, and we're still working on it. We're ready to close in this spring. So we'll be making a big announcement and hopefully do a little groundbreaking in the spring in April.
Well, be sure I get to come down and throw some dirt.
Okay, thank you.
If anybody wants to get in touch with you and contact you, what's the best way to reach you or other members of the City Council?
Well, they can always call the City Council office, but personally, I allow citizens to call me to my personal cell phone.
Wow.
901-262-9952. Don't call my house. My husband will get angry, but you can call me personally on my cell phone. But the staff is ready and available to answer any questions. We provide exceptional service from the City Council office. Now, if you ask me the number at the City Council, I have no clue.
Well, hey, you gave something a lot better than the office number.
Yes, I gave
yourself
them my personal cell number, yes.
Chairwoman Robinson, thank you for all you're doing. I'm looking forward to the year with you, and we'll do some great things together.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back on the Chairman's Perspective.
20 with Tanya, presented by the Commercial Appeal.
20 minutes of the challenges and opportunities, we face in Memphis, but also a lot of the things nationally that concern me and that should concern other people as well.
20 with Tanya.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
I want to thank you for listening to the Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Today was a great show with Memphis City Council Chairwoman Patrice Robinson. There are so many things that the Memphis City Council is doing to make our community better, and you've got the commitment from this chairman from the Shelby County Board of Commissioners that we will work in earnest to move Memphis and all of our municipalities forward. Thank you for listening to the Chairman's Perspective, and we'll see you next time.
The Chairman's Perspective Podcast. Executive producer, Shelby County Commission's Chairman, Mark Billingsley. Directed, produced, recorded, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.